This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. Good morning, Cam. Hope you're doing well, my brother.
I am good. Just in the middle of packing up a house, moving to another one.
Is this called Hell Week for you?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Doing my favorite.
That's what I would call moving. I would call moving Hell Week.
Yeah. This is obviously my favorite thing in the world to do: load up boxes and more boxes and more boxes. So not enjoying it, but look, the bright side on the end of the road, I get to move into a brand new house that I bought with my wife and my family, and so I'll deal with the Hell Week to get to move in day. So
try to make it your last one, bro.
Well, we do. This is not our dream house yet, but this will be our last one for a bit. This will be our last one for a bit for sure.
Wow. Okay.
This may be the second to last one.
Okay.
And it could be the last one for another 10, 15 years, depending on how this works out. So,
well, we know Cam is headed for bigger and better things, so he'll have people packing all his stuff the next time around.
Yeah,
and then they'll be packing and unpacking for him and organizing. So he'll just walk in, and the wife will be just directing people.
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? That's how it goes.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Now today we are going to paint. So immediately when I get done with you, we have the babysitter coming over to watch the daughter, and we're going to go paint a couple walls. My wife wants a different color.
Now, suggestion. The sex dungeon stuff, you guys need to pack that yourselves and keep that away from everyone. I'm just saying, okay?
We're packing all the boxes. We're packing all our boxes. Nobody's packing our boxes.
Wings, harnesses, all that kind of stuff, keep that away from everybody.
We're having somebody come in and put them into a truck and deliver them, but we're packing everything.
All right. Nipple clips, all that's hide it from people.
You must be saying this. This is what you've got going on.
My sex dungeon's like 3 floors deep, dude. I mean, I've got all kinds of. I can't hide my stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's like a dungeon that's 3 floors down under the house.
Got you.
So
okay.
It's a whole different. I'm never moving. See, that's the difference between you and me. See, I don't have to hide it because it's already hidden, and so that's just a tip. That's all I'm saying. Just a tip to make sure for those of you that are moving, the sex dungeon stuff, move it on your own. Come on. All right. By the way, at any point did that across your mind yesterday while you're watching Joe Burrow with legitimate excuses that his line is struggling, that he's got obviously his top receiver out, although they do have the best receiving core, so they're supposed to have 2 other guys that are studs.
Yeah.
But anyway, if it was Tua last night falling to the Browns 0-3 and not looking, he would have gotten all the blame. Where yesterday, legitimately, you should be defending, Joe Burrow, because he's a badass, but he just doesn't have the help right now.
Well, unlike a lot of people in the media, I do not equate everything to Tua and the Dolphins. But I think the reality is, and I think I said this when people were talking about Tua's struggles last year, there's only maybe 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league that can legitimately overcome everything. And even that is struggles. Like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. And really, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed. Maybe you can force one of the other guys, but we've seen this year Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers struggle when they've had things breaking down beyond them. And I know they're older, but maybe it might just be those 2. It might just be Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as guys who can lift above their team. And even those guys can only do it to a certain extent. If you take away all of Patrick Mahomes' offensive linemen, he's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. He may still be a good quarterback, but he's not going to be that elite player. And so I think we're seeing with Tua this year what having 2 top receivers, 2 speed receivers, as we've talked about with him in Alabama, can do for him. And really the last couple of weeks, having Teron Armstead back healthy has really solidified an offensive line that struggled immensely, even when he wasn't in there.
Big time. All right. So we got the trading deadline today. Your feel for the deadline. Will Miami make a move?
I know they've been making plenty of calls. I can't tell you for sure if they're going to pull the trigger on any of these. A lot of these deals are interesting because you're mortgaging future for players who are essentially rentals. You have to ask yourself, are we this piece away? Are we, this player who we only get for half a season, then we have to pay a bunch of money away from this? And so I think as fans, as media people, we're all like, go all in, go all in. And then if they're not, then they set themselves back a little bit from contending. So I think there's a little bit give and take. I do know the Dolphins have been active in calls on multiple positions. I would like to see them get some sort of upgrade, particularly on defense, whether it be a cornerback, a safety, an edge rusher, whatever it is. I do think that group, as we saw in the first half versus Detroit, needs more help on the talent perspective to be able to push forward. I think that, to me, is their top priority as far as trade deadline. But I've noted it before. A lot of times it's a disappointing period for NFL teams trade deadline. You have all these conversations. Like, you would be amazed at how many conversations GMs have on the trade market this week.
It's been super active already.
You only hear maybe 5% of the trade talks that actually come up, and most of them, nearly all of them, don't end up happening. And so I think that this trade deadline, there may be 2 or 3 moves across the league before deadline time, but I don't expect it to be a constant wave like baseball. So maybe the Dolphins make one of those moves, but I don't think you should be surprised if nothing happens.
I was telling Dolphin fans before you came on that you got to be careful here, because obviously Roquan got traded yesterday, and I'm sure you got flooded, and so did I. Oh, we should have traded for him. Oh, 2nd and 5th. And I think that the Dolphins, if anything, are probably trying to rent a player. I don't think they're trying to trade for a Roquan or even a Nick Chubb, a Bradley Chubb, I'm sorry, because those are the kind of, and by the way, I think the Ravens are morons. They traded him and they didn't sign him to a long-term deal. That was ridiculous. Roquan already was turning down some serious stuff from the Bears. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's not smart. But my point is, you got Wilkins coming up. You got Waddle, Tua, Javon Holland, and one more that I'm missing that is coming up that you're going to have to pay. But anyway, so you got like 5 players that are going to come up for contracts. And Wilkins, for sure, this offseason, you have to rework his deal already, because he's got a big cap number going into next season. And then you're a year away from, talking about Tua and his extension, and Waddle, you're 2 years away from his. Javon Holland, you're a year away, because you only get a 4th year with him. You don't get the 5th year.
And I'm telling you now, I'm calling it now. I'm not Javon Holland's agent, but he's going to reset the safety market. He's going to be the highest paid safety in the NFL when it's time to get paid. He's that sort of player, and by the time it's payment time, he'll get paid as such. So and I guess the reality of it, other than guys that you're already having to pay, guys you've already paid, cap numbers are going higher. Tyreek Hill had a low cap number this year because he just did the deal. Next year and the following year, that cap number is going to be huge. And so even though the cap rises, those players are rising. And there are things that teams can do to work around the cap. The cap isn't this big restriction thing where, hey, they can always work new deals. Creative. But I do think that there has to be a balance between big money star players and role players and rookie contracts. You can't have 10, 12 players who are star big money contracts and a smaller amount there. So it's got to be balanced out. That being said, if you feel like you're close, and this is where you have to have honest internal evaluation, right? Because fans will always want you to push all your chips in. Media will always say, go for it, go for it, go for it. You're a 4-3
Jones, by the way. Brandon Jones was the other one. Brandon Jones,
right? You're a 4-3 football team who's had a lot of injuries, but you have to ask yourself, in this AFC that's pretty difficult this year, where do you see yourself? Do you say a Bradley Chubb or a Kareem Hunt or a safety, a cornerback of your choosing? Does that guy get you to X from X? Where do you realistically see yourself? And that's the conversation that Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel and Brandon Shore and Marvin Allen and Reggie McKenzie and all those guys out there are having right now, because is going from a potential playoff team to a 2nd round team worth a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick. Is going from a potential wild card team to an AFC championship team worth that. And these are things that you have to weigh. And so I certainly believe they're having these conversations. It wouldn't shock me if they get a deal done But given they pushed all their chips in for Tyreek, I would be a little surprised if they pushed all their chips in once again and gave up first or multiple first-round picks to go get, a guy who may not complete the puzzle. I don't know, at least in my view, like I said, they have to have their own view. In my view, this team is not one player away from a championship. They are probably.
You agree with me. They're probably not trading for a Bradley Chubb or a Roquan. They're probably trading for I don't know, the running back for Cleveland, the backup. What's his name?
Hunt.
A rent a player, a guy that we'll give a 4th round pick for the rest of the season. If there's a cornerback out there that can help them out, and they give up some 3rd day pick or something like that, I think that's what they're looking for. I don't think they're looking for a player that they have to give up significant draft capital and then in turn sign that player also to a long-term contract because of everything they've got coming up on the docket. That's the only thing. And by the way, this is a beautiful problem to have, is what I was telling Dolphin fans, because now you're actually hitting on draft picks, which is actually cool.
Right. If you're paying your draft picks, that means you're doing something right. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily rule out all of those guys as far as trade. Like I said, I would temper expectations. If I'm a Dolphins fan, if they don't make a trade for Bradley Chubb, who, like I said, I think they've had conversations about him. That has, that those conversations have been had. But if they don't make a trade, a big splash, to me, it's not like, I'm so disappointed. This isn't, I think that they considered these things. You just have to weigh where you are in your timeline of competing. And to me, we've seen a lot of bright spots in this team. I think this team can and should be a playoff team. But they have to have internal evaluation of, are they a championship team this year, or is it more of a 2023 effort as they have another year with this group, get a little bit better and that sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting. What do we got, about 5 hours into the deadline? I've done this. This is my 8th year, one of them, covering the league. And I don't think I can remember like a deadline where there was like a huge splash, like right before, like baseball, you all of a sudden you see, hey, this star player gets traded to the Yankees for their 7 best prospects. That doesn't happen in the NFL, but I'm willing to be surprised today, and hopefully there is another fun one somewhere down the chute.
Yeah, baseball, basketball, they will shock you with big deal. This trading deadline,
the Phillies play game 3 tonight.
This trading deadline, by the way, has been one of the most active in the last 15 years already, as it is. I don't remember this many trades leading up to the deadline in a long time. This is very active.
The other element, we talked a lot about cap, but the other element to know is the cap is going to be rising significantly soon. So you're seeing teams that are taking chances on players like the Ravens had, which could be smart, could be not, but players that are taking chances on guys who are at the end of their rookie contract, who they know they're going to have to get paid, but not necessarily re-signing them yet, because they're either wanting to see the last half year, they're betting that they can re-sign them with that heavy contract, or they're saying they're doing the Rams route, which the Rams did with Von Miller, where we let you play out the year, and if you play over your expectations, then hey, it was worth it for us to make a run, and we'll get a comp pick in a year. And so some teams are going that route. The Rams did that. I think they should have found a way to re-sign Von Miller, but he played so well, won them Super Bowl, and then played his way out of their price range. And so that's a good problem to have. I'm sure if Roquan Smith plays so well that they win a Super Bowl and he plays his way out, they're going to be like, hey, we'd love to have you, Roquan, but that trade was worth it. Have fun with signing for whoever you can for as much as you can. I'm not saying
why you got to do that? Why do you not? There might be a Raven fan out there, and you just filled their head up with a bunch of bullshit. Why do you do that? The Ravens have no shot. They'll be lucky to make the playoffs, and that's about it. They'll like they normally do. They'll appear in the playoffs, and then they'll get spanked with that rinky-dink offense, and then they'll get sent home. Why do you do that to the Ravens fans? Don't do that to the Ravens. That's cool.
What did we say this offseason? Hopium, right? Sometimes you get a little hopium.
Yeah, that's a lot of hopium. Wow. That's a lot of hopium.
Hey, they got just like a lot of these teams in the AFC, you can get hot. What? The Bengals got hot last year and made a Super Bowl run. I did not see that coming. You know,
Yeah,
nobody
and they won't make it back. And they won't make it back.
They may not, right? But all you need is a special run, right? The Ravens won a Super Bowl a decade ago with Joe Flacco, and they just made a special run. You know, that's all. They don't ask you how you won the Super Bowl. Did you get lucky?
Oh, no, not at all.
You won.
Yeah. I'm with you. I just don't see Lamar being the passer that can get you through there. And their running game isn't that dominant that you can't stop it. So it's that's the only reason why you and I will not come to an agreement on that.
Yeah, we'll disagree. I'm a Lamar fan. You are not. We understand that.
I'm not. No, I'm a Lamar fan, not a believer in his way of playing the position. That's all. You can't. It's impossible not to like the kid.
Right.
Impossible, because he's a great young man. I just don't think in his way you win the Super Bowl unless you learn how to beat him like this consistently. You can't beat him like this consistently.
You may be right, but I think we are closer and closer to seeing a Lamar Jackson, a Jalen Hurts, that style of quarterback win a Super Bowl than I think more people think. A guy that, even though Jalen's been a lot better with his passing, I still think that people will consider him a run first quarterback. And to me, no matter how you consider him, I think Lamar and Jalen Hurts are good enough to win a Super Bowl in the right situation. And
you know what the problem is with them now. You know what the problem is?
Philly 7-0. They could test that theory this year. We'll see.
Now the problem with, like, I'll give you the problem with the Ravens. They are like the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers and, certain teams in the NBA that free agents are never going to come to them. Well, in the Ravens case, free agent wide receivers, big name wide receivers will never go there. Why? Because it's a running offense. So they're all divas. They all want the ball a lot. They're not ever going to go there. The Ravens need to either draft a stud wide receiver or two, or trade and trap a stud wide receiver or two in your system. Yeah, you got to trap them, because if not, you're like Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown wasn't even a great receiver, and he's like, well, I don't feel useful here. I don't feel like he didn't feel. Why? Because they're running all the time. And that's the problem. If you don't have a quarterback that is willing to pass the ball and be accurate a lot and throw it 40, 50 times in today's NFL, you're not going to keep those big wide receivers happy.
So here's where I'll challenge you.
Would lose their minds in that offense.
So here's where I'll challenge you. Mark Andrews has been arguably the best tight end in football this year with Lamar as his quarterback. We've never seen Lamar. I did not draft him in my fantasy team.
No, they drafted him.
They drafted him. Correct. But
he's locked in there.
I also will say the Ravens have not been good at drafting and developing receivers. Even the ones they have done recently have been, Rashad Bateman. He's been hurt and not living up.
And Quan Bolden was the last one. And Quan Bolden.
Exactly. And so I would challenge you, because the same narrative was there about Jalen Hurts until they went and got AJ Brown. And then all of a sudden you see him and AJ Brown. They traded for him, right? But did I not just
tell you that? Did I not?
AJ Brown
trade for him or draft him,
right? But AJ Brown's not unhappy at all with a quote unquote run first quarterback. He's putting up monster numbers, better numbers than he's having in Tennessee with a quote unquote run first quarterback. So to me, it's not. You're right. I do think they got to find a way to draft or trade for him, because maybe the stigma's there. But I don't think the narrative that Lamar can't create a star receiver or sustain a star receiver is accurate. I think that we haven't seen a receiver there that's good enough to be able to do it. The only one we've seen is Mark Andrews, and he has been really top tier when he's getting the ball. So that's sort of my view.
And tight ends are, those are higher percentage passes. Those are easier passes for the quarterback to the running backs and the tight ends. The outside the hash stuff is a lot harder for a quarterback. So that's why. But that's the stigma that lies on him. And in Philadelphia right now, he's happy for now. We'll see how it continues, because he just got traded there and it just got started. We'll see how it finishes. It's like like you got it too. It's like a lot of Dolphin fans in the first quarter. My God, they were jumping ship. This is disgusting. I can't believe this. I had one guy said to me, I can't stand it. I can't watch these Dolphins have to come back every week. I go to him. You would have hated the Marino era. You know, that's all Marino did in that era. He had to come back all the time because his defenses kept giving up 40 points, so he had to put up 42 in order to win the damn game. So welcome to the Marino era. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those where, you know, we got to see how it ends, and we'll see if the AJ stuff ends the right way with Philadelphia, because right now
I'm pretty confident that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, by the way, who I still love as a player, I think that they're both very happy with Jalen Hurts as their quarterback.
Well, they've done an excellent job of finding him weapons. So if he doesn't succeed, and think about it, he has those two weapons, and they're still a running offense.
Right, and that's fine. That's fine. The problem, the thing is diversity, and they also have the best offensive line in football. But the diversity there. But I'm telling you, as we've seen over the last 3 to 5 years, getting your quarterback multiple receivers who can threaten defenses is the key to creating a great offense. It's changed.
Amen.
Before it was get you a left tackle and that sort of, and the offensive line is still important, but I don't think it's as important to get a star offensive line versus just not having any huge weaknesses in every area. I think that it's important now to get star or very good players. You've seen it with Tua this year. You've seen it with Jalen Hurts. You've seen it with Josh Allen. They went and got him Stephon Diggs and now Gabe Davis. And so a lot of the top quarterbacks in this league, and Patrick Mahomes is the only guy who seemed to shine without that guy, but he still has Travis Kelce. And so you're seeing the importance for receivers, for quarterbacks, getting those star receivers, and the good ones find ways once they have those guys to shine. And like I said, we're seeing that with some of these young quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, but again, Tua being a passer, look how his two receivers are super happy. Yeah, and you know, can Jalen Hurts do the same thing with his two receivers and make them?
I think they'll be fine. I mean, Tua, heck, I tweeted about it yesterday. They're the Jalen Hurts, and I mean Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are on pace to break the most yards from any wide receiver duo in NFL history. Tyreek Hill is on pace for 2,000 yards, the first receiver ever. And so, you know, the whole dynamic of can Tua support Tyreek. Not only has he supported Tyreek and Jalen better than either of them has ever had in their career. And I do think that I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts too. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to do the same for AJ and Devontae.
Right, but again, I'm just looking at it now. Tyreek is number 1 in the league. Jalen Waddle is number 4. Yeah. By the way, everybody said that, you know, those people that said Tua can't run a high-powered offense. Well, he's got the most.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Yeah.
And now AJ Brown is number 6. He's behind both of those guys,
which is impressive for a team, because be clear here, the Eagles are a top 3 run team. The Dolphins are a bottom 7 run team, so they are a passing offense. That's right. So the Eagles
and Devonta Smith is 31.
Right.
Do you think long term he's going to want to stay there when he's going to stay at 31? Or does Jalen Hurts need to pick it up badly? I'm just saying.
I think he's fine. I think he's fine. Even 31st, he's on pace for over 1,000 yards. Like, since when is not 1,000 yards for a guy like Devontae Smith not a good season?
Come on, you've been around receivers.
And the Eagles also have been blowing teams out like they did against the Steelers. Their whole starters did not play the whole third quarter. They're like Alabama in college. They play 3 quarters and then they're done. So that affects your stats as well.
I get that, but 31 for him, he's not going to be happy with that. And he has 2 touchdowns. He has 2 touchdowns. The good thing is he has 420 in yardage, so he can spark it up anytime. So that's the good thing for him overall. All right. So what's your percentages today on a deal? Where are you going?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a chance
0 to 100.
I'd say there's probably a 45% chance they trade and get a player there. Probably just under 50% would be how I put it.
Okay. Well, one more thing about last night that I thought of, again, spinning it to the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. This isn't Tua now, so relax. This is Brian Flores, which is the other thing we love to pick on. All right, so even Jabroni Brisket plays better away from Flores.
Jacoby
really think about the king size moron look for Brian Flores now. I know you guys were hugging it out on the field and all that stuff, but his ass looks so stupid now, as Tua is one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and Jabroni Brisket is actually playing unlike a Jabroni. He's playing more like a Jacoby now. And even under the Browns, he looks better than he did with the Miami Dolphins and that clown-ass offensive coordinator group that they had in there. This has been offensively, everything that's gone on with the Dolphins, and now you throw in Jabroni. This is not a good look for Brian Flores moving on down the line when everything else is flourishing offensively, and under him, it was a problem.
So very good game for Jacoby Brissett last night. I don't know it's been that way throughout the season. That being said, I do think, I don't know if we necessarily have to revisit Flores. I did see him at the game, and I said hello to them as everybody saw on national TV. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But my whole point is that Brian Flores
did he give you a cell phone after that? Did you get the cell phone?
I think I'm okay there. I would say that Flores, one of his biggest issue to me while he was coach here was his inability to get an offense right. And so if he ever gets another head coach job, which I don't know if he will, but if he ever gets a head coach job again, that has to be the area you get right, because you can say all you want about the interactions with people in the building. That's definitely areas where I think people relationships that he'll have to be better at.
His people skills suck. Yeah.
But the offense on the football side of it, he was a really good schemer, a really good defensive coach, and a guy who, had a team discipline. We talked about penalties here. That was thing that he was good at. He wasn't good at everything, but he was good at that. But he really, really struggled to find an offensive guy to lead that group. Went through 4 guys in 3 years, essentially, with the co-offensive coordinator set up, and it just did not work. And so, we're seeing other people, particularly Tua, shine without him. And so I got to run because my babysitter just got here.
I know. But I love the word schemer for him. That I like that. I like that word. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. Catch his exceptional work at, of course, the NFL Network. And, of course, you can catch him twice a week here as we bust his balls on the program on the KSDT CPA, Miami Dolphins, and NFL Report. Cam, much love. We'll catch you later, my man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
There you go. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.